Oh wow, we have some breaking news. It turns out that if you deport all your farm workers, nobody's around to pick your crops. Groundbreaking stuff. This New York Times article by Linda Chu reports that the Trump administration, the same people who promised a 100% American workforce with higher wages and better benefits, just quietly filed government paperwork admitting their crackdown is causing, and I quote, significant disruptions to production costs threatening the stability of domestic food production. They wrote that with their hands and submitted it to the federal government. So what's the master plan? Now, stay with me here. Their plan is to bring the immigrant workers back. The ones that they just deported, except this time they're going to pay them less because in 2025, out of more than 400,000 farm job postings that legally required an American applicant first, 182 Americans applied. 182. And a farmer in Colorado said it so the rest of us didn't have to. We can't farm without going back to guest workers. Going back. Billions spent, families destroyed, people died, and the conclusion after all of that is, okay, fine, we need them, but let's slash their pay by up to $7 an hour and make them live in employer-owned housing. A New York Times journalist called it exactly what it is, indentured service. That's the 100% American workforce they promised you. Receipts, not speculation.
Well, Donald Trump is trying to get those immigrants to come back to the United States. You know all those farm workers that he's been deporting? Apparently it caused a labor shortage because we can't get enough Americans to get off their lazy ass to go out in the field and pick those veggies. So he changed the rules, according to the New York Times, and is offering temporary visas for those farm workers to come back and work. But they only have to pay them as low as $1 an hour in some states. And part of their compensation can be room and board. And he's offering it for those that has maids too. They can literally have people working in their field and in their house, and their whole compensation is giving them a place to sleep and some food. Kind of weird, ain't it? It's such a bad thing that the farm workers of America are suing his ass because they're saying that it's going to cut into their salary. And those are American people, actually, that runs farming equipment and stuff for farmers that aren't lazy. Does that sound like a fucking deal?
America already has labor shortages, housing shortages, rising inflation, expensive food, super expensive construction, super expensive rent, delayed infrastructure projects, and we're deporting immigrant workers at a record number at the same time. Who pours concrete? Who frames houses? Who installs roofs? Who tiles bathrooms? Who picks the crops that you eat? Who works food processing? Who works at the warehouses? Who cleans hotels? Who rebuilds cities after hurricanes and fires? Meanwhile, everybody's online screaming, why are homes so expensive? Why? Because reality matters. You cannot have labor shortages, tariffs increasing material costs, fewer workers, deportations, higher interest rates, and somehow expect housing prices to magically collapse. And this goes way beyond construction. Agriculture, restaurants, hotels, landscaping, warehouses, factories, elder care. Who's going to take care of our old people? America, whether you like it or not, has become dependent on immigrant labor, and it happened decades ago. And now people say, well, Americans are going to do these jobs. Okay, where are they? The unemployment rate in most skilled trades is super low. There are not millions of unemployed roofers, welders, drywall installers, masons, farm workers sitting home waiting to start work tomorrow. The workforce does not magically appear overnight after you kick everybody out. And now economists are warning something called a labor shock, meaning too many workers disappearing too fast. So what happens after a labor shock? Prices skyrocket, food costs skyrocket, housing costs skyrocket, project stalls, businesses panic, inflation goes crazy. So this is no longer an immigration issue. You don't like standing next to somebody who doesn't look like you, sound like you, act like you. This is becoming an economic issue for every American.
This lady turned down $26 million for an AI data center going in on her farmland. And the reason she said she turned it down is because her land feeds people. It doesn't harm the land around. And she knew that if they built a data center there, the surrounding areas and her friends and neighbors and people in the community would be largely affected by it. And she could move away, but she could never live with herself. People have already shown that the taps are barely running inside their houses to the point where they can't even flush their toilets because of these data centers. And then what usually comes out of the tap is brown liquid like that in the same county that that lady denied a data center. That water is from. Good on her. Amazing.
Oh, MAGA, you're in trouble. Apparently there's a shortage of workers on the farm. But don't worry, MAGA. Brooke Collins, who heads agriculture, says that she has a solution. Seems like Trump and Brooke Collins have put their heads together and come up with a solution to solve the problem on the farms losing workers. Let's watch the video and see what Brooke Collins has to say to solve this issue.
Score enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Did you hear that, MAGA? They're saying if you're able-bodied and on Medicaid, you are going to work in the fields. MAGA, this is where it hits you. You're going to work in the fields. And you're going to see what it's like for these undocumented immigrants to come to America and work a hard day's labor in the American fields. Get ready to pack up Mima and Pop-Pop and put them on a bus and send them to the fields, MAGA. That's what you voted for, and that's what you deserve. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments. Have a day.
Okay, guys, if you turn on your social media right now, if you turn on the TV right now, what is the first news you're gonna see? It's gonna be Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. And what is making the mainstream media right now is the deportation right now. That's what's happening in America right now. Deportation is supposedly the biggest topic right now, the closing of American borders right now. And the second thing is the tariffs, before we talk about the Iran war. So this video is all about MAGA and the powerful MAGAs who actually voted for him, thinking that deporting migrants and turning them back home was not going to affect them. But guess what? As they started deportation, something simultaneously took place, and something simultaneously took them unaware. So in this video, we will be discussing all these issues subsequently. Just watch the video, guys. Thanks for watching the video up to this moment. I will see you shortly.
I keep talking to Americans who call me up on the phone and say, hey, can you get my employee back from Guatemala? My very good employee, he just got deported. How do we get him back? How do we get her back? Man who worked for me for 20 years just got stopped at the airport and sent back home. My answer is generally you don't come back. And they tell me what a shame it is because they're such wonderful people, such good worker. And my response is, well, this is what you voted for. And I think what's going on in America now with immigration is that it's very easy to demonize immigrants. Whatever problems we have, it's because of immigration. And as a result of that, immigrants in totality have been demonized, made to be something less than human. You see it in the discourse online, you see it in our politics, you see it in the jails we put them in. But when they become a human being to somebody, even somebody who voted for Trump to kick all the immigrants out, they feel differently about that one particular person. Not to say everybody is a good person. They're not. There's a lot of bad apples as well. But when we categorize everybody as being bad and should be out, you don't get to pick and choose the good people who get to stay and those who leave. So when people call me up and say, how do you get my man back? How do you get this woman back? You don't. This is what you voted for. even though you say you like them and they deserve to be.
I want to say what I said in another video a little bit better. I want to talk about why I think it's time, if you have MAGA people in your life, to cut contact with them. I know that there's a lot of discourse out there about how we don't want to isolate people in their propaganda and that that's not going to bring this country together, but I disagree. I said in my other video, I'll explain briefly here, that I have attempted to reach out and bring together and reach my parents for over a decade, really 2 decades, if I'm honest, trying to get them to listen to me, to trust me over their media, to trust the sources that I was giving them that was contradicting what they were hearing in their media, and they chose over and over again not to trust me, but to dismiss me. And as I began to very gently at first, I mean gently always, but just more persistently as time went along, to call out their hypocrisy, because I never used to do that, because hurting my parents was anathema to me. The idea of like embarrassing my dad by pointing out how stupid something he was saying was, I could not do it. Like, I remember sitting in the car in like 2016, listening to my dad just say the most outlandish shit and feeling like I couldn't get the words out of my throat because I would hurt him. I would embarrass him, and I just couldn't do that because I loved him so much. But over time, as the atrocities mounted and their stubbornness and their unwillingness to acknowledge reality mounted, I became more persistent in pointing out their hypocrisies, again, gently, lovingly, and in private, not in public, not in any aim to humiliate them, but just trying to get them to listen, and it didn't work. As I did that, they backed further and further away from me. So my attempt to reach them, to bring us together, to introduce information outside of their media into their ecosystem, caused them, my mother especially, my father not so much, but caused my mother especially to moonwalk out of my life. She was, I think my read is that she was just so afraid of me pointing out something that would harm her ego that she just didn't want to have any kind of conversation with me. And the reality of that is, like, honestly, my mother has called me once in 10 years, and that was for a reason of her own selfish need. So I'm not exaggerating when I say that she moonwalked out of my life. So this talk of like, we have to stay in contact in order to reach them, it's not working. And the second thing I would say is that it is a moral imperative, I think, at this point, to cut contact with people who refuse to acknowledge that there is harm being done and that they are participating in that harm. And maybe that's because they are people who cannot feel harm if it doesn't happen to them. They're just incapable of empathy or incapable of having an imagination. You have 2 buckets of MAGA people left. You have the people who love the pain and are cheering on the harm because they're bullies and deeply mentally sick individuals. And then you have the enablers who just cannot accept that they were wrong about anything. So they're doubling down on defending everything to protect their own egos. I'm talking about those people. If you have those people in your life who know better but aren't doing better, and apparently don't care about harm unless it impacts them, introduce some harm. Tell them you don't want them in your life. Tell them why. You don't have to be mean. I was not mean when I told my parents. I was very loving. But I said, you believe liars, thus you spread lies. You don't trust me, and I can't take it anymore. I cannot live in this delusion with you. It is destroying my mental health, and I will not enable your delusions. Bye. And I think more of us, this is the time to do that. And I know that's probably going to be unpopular, and I know how difficult it is. This has been the most destabilizing, devastating, horrific thing I've ever had to go through, and I never thought it would be my reality, but here we are. So what are we going to do when it's our reality? Are we going to enable them to continue to find new bottoms, or we are going to remove ourselves in hope that that's getting them to the bottom that they need to recover? Because some of these people, removing myself from my parents' life, losing your child, when they, and again, let me explain a little bit. Sorry, 2 times this if you need. I told my parents before they voted for him a third time, I said, like, you're being irrational if you don't think this isn't going to impact our relationship. And after January 6th, that was the first time I went no contact with them. My dad called me crying, saying he didn't care about politics anymore. He only cared about our relationship. Lies. But we've been through all that. And so when I found out they were voting for him a third time, I said, you are being irrational if you think this is not going to impact our relationship, if we're going to survive this. And they're in a state where their vote didn't matter. That was going to be a blue state no matter what. I had this conversation with my dad. I said, I finally got mad at him. I mean, I just never get mad at my dad. I finally got mad at him. And I said, your vote isn't going to count. It's not going to do anything to get that man in office. And your child is sitting in front of you crying, begging you not to do it. What are you going to do? And I felt guilty at the time for giving him an ultimatum. I mean, I was driven to this after like 15 years of, I've never given him an ultimatum before, but I just I couldn't take it anymore. And I wanted them to be aware that if they did that, there were going to be consequences. I wanted them to know going in, if they made that choice, that there was a consequence. It was going to be our relationship. And I kind of wanted to force them to have to make that decision and show me that voting for him, even when their vote would not count, mattered more than the damage that I was telling them it was going to do to my life, because they just don't believe it. They think that's my problem. They think I'm too sensitive, right? But anyway, he went ahead and did that, and I, said, I'm done. If that wasn't bottom, if my parents losing a relationship with what had once been a loving relationship with a precious child, because we were close. If that isn't bottom, I don't know that my parents have one. And I don't know that these other people in your lives have one. And we can either ride down to this bottomless pit with them and watch them sink lower and lower into depravity, or we can get off the ride and say, you're on your own. I chose the latter, and I think it's a moral thing to do, and I hope more of you are doing it.
So immigrants were stealing American jobs up until Americans actually had to do them. So the Trump administration has quietly lowered the price for H-2A visas, so farmers can bring migrant workers back to the country to work on farms. Why, you ask? Because America has spent the last year vilifying immigrants. But the second that labor disappears, the government is like, well, maybe we should think about bringing them back. Because, see, before the election, Americans swore up and down that immigrants were taking these jobs and an American would work on a farm and do this stuff. So where are the Americans at? Are they suddenly allergic to farm work? Migrants were pushed out, threatened with detention camps, and treated like criminals. So why should they come back just to pick crops? So I'm asking y'all, should migrants come back to work on the farms? Or should they stay away because America made it clear they ain't safe?
Okay, YouTube family, welcome back to the channel. I mean, the whole ICE issue right now, the whole deportation issue right now is a really, really massive topic right now on social media. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's is feeling the pain right now. I mean, it's really something devastating right now, especially for the business owners and especially for the farmers in America right now. I mean, these are the people that really rely on cheap labor and immigrants who come here and work to send money back home, and now being sent back home with nothing. And I understand. Every country has its own policy. You have the right to send people back. You have to vet somebody before you get them back, get them into the system. I understand that. But most of the people who are being deported are people with no criminal history. I mean, no criminal backgrounds. I mean, most of them are being targeted. I mean, and most of them are the Hispanic communities. They are being targeted by this administration, and they are being sent back to their home countries to build their own countries by themselves. And I understand that. But the farmers didn't see this coming. Why am I saying they didn't see this coming? Because they thought maybe when they deport these migrants back to their country, hard working Americans are going to come running, and they're going to come running back to their farms, and they want to work the farms for them right now. So that's actually what they thought. But the reverse is true. And we are now seeing Americans right now on social media saying that they're not going to work on those farms outright. And there's something happening under the doors, under the table right now that nobody is actually talking about. Most of these farmers are now sourcing help from outside. Remember, Trump put, I think there's this H2 visa, something of that sort, that warrants somebody to work in the United States, and before working in the United States, you're gonna pay, I think, about $100,000 for that. I mean, so most of these farmers want to go source the work from outside, pay the $100,000 instead of paying good old Americans the wage, the minimum wage that they're supposed to pay them. They want to go out there to get work from out there and then bring the farmers here. And supposedly, I mean, in an interview, I saw this interview, supposedly keep them in the farms for them to work for them. And whenever their visas expire, they're going to send them back to the country. So what do you call these guys if not slavery? I mean, like, this is happening, this is unfolding right before our eyes. They're going to go out there, they're going to buy people with their money, and they're going to bring them back here, and they're going to lock them up in the farms and let them work in the farms, and they'll be monitored in the farms. And then after that, supposedly they're going to be sent back to their countries. That's what's happening in America right now. The tariffs is another issue that they didn't see coming. They didn't know they voted for a man who had ego. I mean, like, they saw it in the first administration, but they decided to turn a blind eye to it. But right now, it is really affecting them. The whole tariff situation is a joke. It's a joke right now, because what's happening with the farmers right now, I mean, there's no labor force right now. The farmers can't buy them seeds because why? Because they know the government is subsidizing, is giving uh, the government is bailing the farmers out right now. Okay, so the suppliers say, okay, we know you have money right now, so we're going to up the prices of the goods. You have increase in fuel prices right now. You have what's happening in Iran right now. I mean, a whole lot. Prices of corn seeds have gone up. The prices of everything have gone up. There are no workers. There's no everything. I mean, most of the farm products are left rotting right now in the farms. These are farm products that were supposed to be shipped to China and other countries right now, but because of the trade war between all these other countries, even its own close counterparts like Germany and Britain and other countries, they can't do business with them. So there's a lot of struggle right now. There's a lot of talk about the whole deportation thing right now, and are really struggling right now. Most of these farmers are really going through a lot. I mean, like, in a recent interview that Trump had, they asked him about the financial issue of every American right now, what they're going right now. He said he doesn't care. He is only focused on the Iran war right now and what's happening in Iran right now. That's his main focus. It means he doesn't care about the farmers who voted for him, the American folks who went out there and showed their solidarity towards him. He doesn't really care right now. He cares about spending money on foreign wars right now. I mean, it was all a gamble. What happened right now was all a gamble. Look at the Strait of Hormuz have been closed, and who's still suffering? The American public is suffering because of what is happening right now. And don't get me wrong, America's strategy was good. I mean, like, they wanted to stop the production of WMD in Iran. Whether that's true or not, that's a story for another day. But at least getting security in that region will help America boost America's economy. But the planning was really wrong. I mean, they did it really wrong. That's why everything went south in Iran right now. So a lot of American folks are going through a lot right now because of the farm issues. And I mean, like, if you look at the far right groups on Twitter right now, there's a white guy who came online and said he is part of a white supremacy group on Twitter, and they keep talking about the farming issue. They're saying if that they were happy that these immigrants were going to get deported so that the blacks were going to go back and do what their fathers used to do. I mean, like, there's some black Americans who would joke about it on social media and saying, okay, if you're going to pay me, you have to pay me about $100 an hour for me to do the job, while others are saying over their dead body that they're ever going to go back to the farms again. So it's really, really a dire situation right now. I mean, these black folks, most of these black folks are really educated. It is not back then where education was deprived from the black man and other minority communities. A lot of things have changed right now. So you can't think that you can go back to the past and bring them back, bring back 400 years of slavery back to America right now. It is impossible. I mean, something is literally going to go down. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for being here up until this point. Subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, so turn on notification bell so that each time I release a new video, you'll be the first person to watch this video. So see you in the next video.